Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 260. Let's see who shows up. Alright, lots of good choices. Yeah, I mean, Draven's one of the best early game champions there is. This isn't a particularly good start with Draven. Um, I'm not a huge fan of just like being forced into drafting spiders. He's got a lot of pretty good go wide strategies, but a lot of that plays out of scrap heap. And so this is a reasonable champion. I'd ideally want to be taking something like this specifically second, or just paired up with worse champions. We have very good champion options here, and so we can let this Draven go. I'm going to skip over the Callista. I feel like we've touched on her quite a bit. There's not a whole lot of newness going on with this pool. It's pretty trashy. We finished our tier list for the 2-1 patch. She's still up in tier 1. This Afterlife does have the Mist Wraiths in it, and so you're either going to be looking to draft Mist Wraiths, or the thing that really carries Callista and being so strong is you can get, 3 Blighted Caretakers, a couple Neverglade Collectors, and a couple Rekindlers, and then as long as your curve isn't horrible, and you pick up a couple removal spells, you're going to be pretty well positioned to just take it to 7 wins, kind of regardless of what it gets paired with or whatever else is in your deck. That combination of cards is just so extremely powerful. But nonetheless, we're going to be taking the Zoe here. A start with the Mountain Goat and Spring Guardian is pretty decent. We'll see how this plays out. Kind of like the way as I like to approach Zoe are basically to kind of pair her up with Bilgewater so that we can go out and draw just like a whole bunch of cards. So we try to keep the curve like really, really cheap and then just draw a whole bunch of cards and level her up by playing a bunch of cards. Because, if you're going to play 10 different cards and they average 2 mana, per card, it's going to cost 20 just to get her leveled up. If they cost 3, it's going to take 30 to get her leveled up, and that's going to be the matter of probably 3 or 4 turns that you're able to spend all that mana. And so really like to keep her curve super, super low, but it doesn't matter. We'll see what comes up here. But first, let's get her pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar with the site, ftpbus.com is where I keep all of my expedition-related content. The tier list is now up to date for the 2.1 patch, both the text version and the image version are available up on the site. By the time this video is out, the video edition will be out as well on the old YouTube. You'll be able to find it over here in the guides section once we post it here, or of course on YouTube. But nonetheless, today we're going to be over in the Expedition Helper. We're just going to scroll all the way to the bottom to Zoe, pick up the Awesome Augments pool, and take a peek at what lives here. And so yeah, like ideally the way we look to build the Zoe is with these cheap cards, right? And so we have Gift Giver comes into play, makes a 1-cost card. The Dustbringer comes into play, makes a 1-cost card. Scary Scamp, hopefully play for free. Mountain Goat makes gems. Spacey Sketcher lets us discard the gems to get more cheap cards to play. And so that's kind of like the core of the Zoe side. Ideally, we'll be able to pair her with Bilgewater. If we can't pair her with Bilgewater, then we'll just have to kind of find something else to do. But the real strength in Bilgewater is being able to play a Pool Shark or being able to play a Fortune Croaker and then draw additional cards, maybe even plunder some of our opponent's cards just to get like cheap things that we can put on the board. We don't care what those things are as long as we can play them. And so that's kind of the strategy here I like to pursue. She also does, have sort of a invoke theme. She tends to invoke to a bunch of cheaper cards. So with like Spacey Sketcher or the Fangs released in the Aphelios expansion, the super cool star charts making cheaper cards as well. And so she tends to be down at the bottom end of the celestial curve, to whereas Aurelian Soul would be at the top end. I don't really like pursuing that. I don't think that there's enough. There's enough payoff for doing it. They even took the Sparkleologist out of this card pool. Starbone does live in this one, but it's really tough to grab the messengers, and so I like to have this theme for value, but I don't like to pursue it as a full build around strategy. Again, I think if you're going to build around Zoe, you really want it to be focused on getting those cheap cards into play. And so let's see what she gets paired up with. It's tough to just like set out to be like, okay, I'm going to draft around the Zoe. But now that we find this Twisted Fate, we can do it. And so I don't think this is a particularly interesting pool with Smash and Grab. The Smash and Grab idea here is it's a pool set on 2-cost spells. And so we could, maybe make something work with this. The Hexcore Foundry, kind of replacing what we would be finding out of like the Twisted Fate cards, and then It's just kind of like the drawing drawing multiple of the same card doesn't really do anything for us as far as getting our Zoe leveled up. And then there's not a whole lot of Piltover cards that actually have bonus stats that we want with Zoe. Like typically with her, we're just trying to invoke a Golden Sister to give all of our units elusive and lifesteal. And so we don't really have to pursue it out of another faction, but if we were going to pursue it out of Piltover, there's maybe a card with elusive, just amateur aeronaut. There's not a whole lot of good units to pull this stuff off with, although Vi giving everything Challenger tough would not be the worst that we could do. And then over here with this Nox and my Darius, this is an okay card pool, just not with what we're trying to do here. And so my problem with taking Zoe Darius is that we're going to have to either just build towards Zoe, which Darius doesn't really help with, or we're going to have to just build towards the Darius Overwhelm deck, which we don't get much help from Targon whatsoever. And so there's just not going to be any synergies between these two. And lastly, we should have some synergies with Twisted Fate. And so the kind of the idea here is if we want to build towards Twisted Fate, we can either do sea monsters or we can do the just kind of the draw a whole bunch of cards theme. And so if we're going to be drawing a whole bunch of cards, we can either focus that on Twisted Fate to try to get him flipped, or we could focus that on Zoe to try to get her flipped. There's, just a lot of synergies between like, hey, Zoe wants to draw cards, Twisted Fate wants to draw cards. Let's try to put these two things together. And so that's what I think we're going to get out of this. But let's take a look at the Twisted Fate pool. I don't want to don't want to assume that we're going to build around Zoe because she was our first pick. We might also just want to build around this Twisted Fate. So we should take a peek at him and see what's going on with this one. And so the first of the draw pool, this is really centered on the two different things. Number one, you can try to get these early game plays in. I try to call it like a one-drop stack, to where we're going to try to get our Jagged Butchers and our Shell Shockers. There's some other good Bilgewater one-drops like the unit with Elusive and Fearsome, and then the Crackshot Corsair. And so we're just going to really try to play the bottom end of the curve, try to hit a bunch of plunders, and then draw cards out of our opponent's deck. So it'd be using Pilfered Goods and Black Market Merchant to fuel our late game out of our opponent's deck. We're going to be using Pool Shark and Fortune Croaker to fuel our early game to make sure that we're not missing any drops through like turn 3 or turn 4. And so, that's kind of the one half of the Twisted Fate deck here. The other half of the first of the draw is just sea monsters. And so the big card we look to build around for sea monsters is Jaw Hunters. Kind of the idea here is, in game one, we're only going to have 30 cards in our deck, so we're only 15 away from deep. That's 10 faster than we would be if we were playing constructed. And then you can quickly churn through your deck with, again, the same card draw cards. So our Fortune Croakers, our Pool Sharks, and then to a lesser degree, Salvage. And so, both of these strategies are pretty good. I do kind of lean towards, at least in our specific situation here, I do lean towards the card draw decks to where all of the cards between Zoe and Twisted Fate, kind of synergize together. But the big things we'll be looking for early will just be, Pool Shark and Fortune Croaker, because that will play well towards Zoe, that will play well towards Twisted Fate, and that will also play well towards sea monsters. But yeah, the sea monsters are pretty straightforward. I don't like actually drafting the physical sea monsters, except I really like Devourer of the Depths, but that counts as a removal spell. And then the Beast Below can be kind of okay. The problem with the sea monsters is there's not a whole lot of difference in playing a 4/4 for 7 mana, like in the Beast Below, and then playing a 6/6 for 5 or a 9/7 for 7. It's just there's so much stats your opponent can't really deal with it anyways. And so we just try to just take whatever we can get out of Jaw Hunters, not play a whole bunch of like 6 and 7 drops, and then maybe a handful of Beast Belows as just kind of a mid-game play. But all about this Twisted Fate. Not excited about the slot butt or the salvage, but this should pay out okay. All right, interesting. It's just the exact opposite ends of the spectrum here with the Hoarder and with the Jagged Butcher. But I do believe this is who we want to take. I don't want either of these expensive cards. We're not going to be building towards Invokes. Or I should say the expensive side of Invokes. We're fine with the cheaper ones from like Zoe and Spacey Sketcher. But if we're going to take an expensive Invoke, we'll just come down here and take the Eclipse Dragon. Eclipse Dragon is strong enough even to be paired up with something shitty like the Stellacorn. And so, we could immediately move to Eclipse Dragon if we're going to take an Invoke, but I think we want to be taking the 1-drop here. Just a quick early game play. Has Plunder. Turns out Zoe's really good at activating Plunder, and so we should hopefully be able to get some synergies out of this. And then, it's only the 3rd pick of the draft, and so if we end up into Sea Monsters, then, we've got an epic one. So, go us. Okay, this pack is interesting. It is, again, trying to push us towards Sea Monsters, which we're okay with. It's just not the exact strategy we were going for. The thing I'm really considering, though, was taking the Sunburst. We don't have any removal spells within the Zoe card pool. We don't have any removal spells within First of the Draw. Doesn't mean we can't see things later, but the reason I call this out so much is like when we're on our synergy picks, they alternate between Wild and Synergy. We're on Wild now, where you see a more random set of cards, and then the Synergy picks, we should see more First of the Draws and Awesome Augments. Neither of those card pools have removal spells in them, and so we're extremely unlikely to see a Sunburst throughout the rest of the trial. And so that's what I'm going to take here. It's just we don't really want to be going too far without catching Sunbursts. If you're in Targon and drafting a bunch of the Daybreak Priestess, the one that invokes 4, 5, or 6 drops, you can kind of let your removal spell go, because she's extremely good at invoking into the Obliterate spell. But that just doesn't look like something we're going to be able to do. The Nightfall one is the one that lives in the Zoe pool, and I just want to make sure that we have a removal spell here. Okay, where's our cheapos at? it's just all expensive all the time. But I think I'm still cool to go with this First of the Draw theme with the Slotbot and the Salvage. I still really would like to find, our Pool Sharks and our Fortune Croakers, and I think this is the way to go about it. I don't think we definitely don't want Tayari. We don't really need Shield Bearers. This would just be kind of filler in our deck. It's good filler, but it's just going to be filler. And then we haven't really done anything to pursue the Invoke strategy, so Starry Scamp is going to be a little bit weaker here. This would be a huge play if we're starting to really focus on Zoe, to where we can try to, play a star chart on 3, pick up a Celestial card, and throw a bunch of Scamps down. But I don't think that's what our deck is really trying to pull off here. Okay. Awkward set of cards. The Pickpocket's not going to be particularly interesting here. These are always good, but I don't really like them unless we're paired up with like Noxus, and we can give them Quick Attack or Overwhelm via Reforges. We just don't have any combos with this here, so we can let that go fairly easily. The Zenith Blade would be a nice take, but we're so unlikely to see another one of these in the future, and it's paired up with another horrible card, and so I don't really want this. If this was like Zenith Blade plus a 2-drop, or Zenith Blade plus a 1-drop, or even Zenith Blade plus the 1/2 elusive lifesteal, I'd be interested in it, but the Stellacorn is pretty bad here. So we're just kind of stuck with the Spring Guardian Pilfered Goods. They both play to our themes a little bit, they just don't play to it particularly well. All right, these cards are fantastic with Zoe, though. The Coral Creatures comes down, really costs 1 mana, gives us a 1 mana spell to go along with it. The Shell Shocker basically comes down for free. So these are cards that exactly play to our strategy is here. Okay, I'm always on board with more Shell Shockers. Hired Gun is a great interactive unit as well. Like I said, we don't have any removal spells. That's why we were so excited to take a Sunburst. Just having a little bit of early game interaction can be pretty good with the Hired Gun. You've been warned is the only other way to directly give vulnerable to something. I guess we could consider the 5-cost unit as well, but just a great early game play here. Okay, then I'm typically not like super excited about Slotbots anymore, but this feels like a deck that can really take advantage of them. And this is our first Pool Shark as well. So if we're able to pick up some more Pool Sharks, pick up some Fortune Croakers, then the value of these Slotbots will pick up quite a bit as well. Okay, alright, well this is not an exciting set. I think we're pretty much forced to take the 2 Sea Monsters here. It's not really what our deck is trying to do. We haven't quite seen the amount of card draw we want to go all in on a Sea Monsters deck, but all of these other cards are so bad. I just don't want anything to do with Pocket Aces. If we're taking these, mid-rangey units, a 4 and a 5-drop, we at least want the ones that synergize with our deck. And so that's how we're going to end up with the Sea Monsters. Okay, well, not an exciting set of cards. We could almost consider taking the Yordle Grifter, but I feel like we're probably going to be drafting towards Zoe's. It's kind of still up in the air if we're going to draft a Zoe or draft to Twisted Fate, but Yordle Grifter's not enough to make me go like, well, okay, I want to just draft toward Twisted Fate now. Kind of same with the Mountain Scryer. We can't Allegiance this. We're way too far away. If you check out our counts, we're at 6 on Targon. That would be like the maximum I would want if I was trying to hit a Bilgewater Allegiance. So the Scamp and the Dustbringer will be fine. Okay, these packs all have some garbage in it. Lure of the Depths at least kind of fits into our themes. It draws a card, makes our sea monsters cheaper, and then the important one we're picking up here is Jal Hunters. So I think we're right on track with kind of hitting these cards. I just really want more Fortune Croakers. I want more card draw, and it came up as soon as I was about to say it. So we got a 1-drop and a Croaker. Just exactly what we want. I think our late game is pretty much good enough at this stage where we don't need to take a Jal Hunters. We have the 1 Hunters, the Beast Below, the Abyssal Eye, and the Shipwreck Order, in addition to our Zoe. And so I think we're in a pretty good spot to not take any more late game. Okay, and then this one's kind of awkward. I don't want this Pilfered Goods Salvage. We have enough like spell-based card draw as it is. As far as card draw goes, I really just want Pool Sharks and I want Fortune Croakers. I don't want any of these spell-based ones anymore. Or, if this was at least say like, we don't want any more salvages, I should say. We already have 2 salvages. I typically only ever want 1, but it can be okay. And so this is kind of tough. I kind of want the Make It Rain Pocket Aces. These are both like pretty mediocre cards in our deck. Pocket Aces I think is typically just bad. Make It Rain is, I'm only kind of interested in it in that we don't really have any interaction, right? We can interact with, where you at, Hired Gun. We have our 1 Jal Hunters, and then we have our Sunburst. And that's kind of the extent of what we can deal with our opponent's cards. And so even though these are pretty bad, I feel like we just need like something to where we can interact a little bit. Okay. So it's kind of interesting. I am cool with getting rid of the Starry Scamp for a Star Shaping. Just picking up a little bit of interaction, a little bit of stall, and then a great late game card in the Star Shaping, since we don't have any invokes for this. Our only invoke is with Zoe via super cool star charts. So I'm okay to let this go. I'd almost be okay with picking up the Jagged Butcher, but I want to hang on to the Make It Rain for at least a little bit to see if we can't have that interaction. Okay, as usual, we do need to go and level someone up and make them premium. We're getting pretty close to the end. We need the new cards to come out so we can level up the cards I like instead of the ones I don't. But at this stage, I'll check on the plunders. I think we've done both the Butcher and the Pool Shark. I'm pretty sure Fortune Croaker is leveled up. I'm pretty sure all of the Nightfall cards are leveled up. And I think we just did Shell Shocker on like the previous trial. So maybe we're down to like Hired Gun. Or rare. We're gonna have to start doing rare, so it'll be the Hired Gun or the Beast Below. I think it looks like. But let's go take a peek. Let's cards. Let's see, Plunder. Yeah, we've already done the Jagged Butcher. Nightfall. Pretty sure we already did the Dustbringer. Yeah, so looks like Slutbot was a rare. I can't remember who we were gonna level up. Where to go? Expeditions View. Oh, we need to look at Hired Gun. And another one down here, the Beast Below. Right. There you go. You're a little more interactive in an early game play. Let's go ahead and level up the Hired Gun. Welcome to the club. I don't know. I don't explain this every video, but Runeterra is very free to play friendly, but that doesn't mean you can't pay to win. Kind of the thing that we run into is when you go and make your cards premium, it makes them feel better. They perform a little better. Of course, Riot would never admit it, but it is actually pay to win. So we do find that the cards that we level up tend to perform a little bit better than they did previously. So when they weren't premium, or also in comparison to our non-premium cards. And so it's definitely an advantage in every game we play when we have premium cards and our opponent doesn't. Definitely pay to win. All right, Coca-Cola. Let's see what happens here. Interesting. we have all of this card draw in the Pool Shark, Croaker, Twisted Fate, and then it's starting out with a Sea Monster. So we could even do things like play Twisted Fate with a. Were you already leveled up? Good on you, my friend. We could even just blue card our Twisted Fate. I think we just have to kind of keep this and be a Sea Monster's draw.
We playing bilge rules, son? What's this?
Okay, and it'll be okay if we don't get the value out of this Pool Shark. I'm really just kind of interested in churning to deep as quickly as I can. We're going to hit it super fast now that we hit salvage. Well, we can't play the salvage, but we're getting there.
I don't change fate, but I can see it.
Okay. I think we're just going to want to open here. We'll be playing, I guess we can play slot bot after combat, but if we're intending on playing the slot bot, we definitely want to open attack. It's pretty easy for this guy just to play a 3-3 here. Oh, we're just playing nothing here. Kind of sucks for this dude. This is not a powerful strategy. The just do actual nothing until Shyvana on 4. So what do we think about gold carding her just to completely shut her down? She should be getting into combat and then like next turn and just being killed or blocking a pull shark. I think that seems pretty reasonable. We'll get to deep quick enough.
Never lost a fair game or played one. Dead in their tracks.
Now we do have a real question with the Abyssal Eye. I think we're okay just to pass on it, but if we play the Eye and hit, that's going to take us to 18 cards. We'll be at 17 our opponent's turn, 16 on our turn. And then we could technically attack with this on the left, draw the card, and then be in deep for the remainder of the combat. And so the downside to this is what if he just plays, a 5/5 Spell Shield Dragon here? Then, we're certainly not going to have a good attack into that. So I think we do want to just wait on this. Then if the extent of his turn is to say, like, play a combat trick, if he wants to, like, riposte through this combat, that's extremely good for us. Yep. And so now he has to, like, specifically have, like, the 4-cost dragon to be adding additional units here, right? If he was playing the first 3 turns without playing a unit, and then his first play was Shyvana on 4, we have to assume that he doesn't really have any 2-drops. He picked up 1, but I have to assume that he just drew that as opposed to, being in his hand early. Okay, so without an additional way to draw a card, I'm not like super excited about this Abyssal Eye, but we don't have any reason to bank our spell mana either. Okay.
What did we get? Shining gifts from the sky.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I can do this. Channel our power.
Oh, I think we need to just get this unit off the board.
Where you going?
We're about to get deep, so I don't really want to be spending our sea monsters right before we do that. And I'd say it feels like he's going to be having combat tricks the rest of the way. So him spending a combat trick to save Tayari is more than okay with me.
The skies
Sure.
darken with their
He's not playing
birth.
Aurelion Soul, so this doesn't super matter. I'm not excited to be seeing Eclipse Dragons come down, but this is okay. Get those damages in while we can. Oh, you really have a card? Yep. Painful. Very painful.
I've got you.
Alright, so we'll be deep on our next turn now. I was really kind of counting on hitting deep this turn so that we could get blocks in with the beast below. But
Time to rest. Radiance
this is very painful.
I don't want to hurt you.
Sure. Very good for us. I'm not sure why he's attacking our units that matter as opposed to blocking Tayari, but I don't think it matters at this point. He's gotten so super far ahead of us. Miss out on our Sunburst. Just the actual perfect draw gets sent away. Alright. Okay. Can't really do anything here. So I think we just want to fill out our board and pass. So let's start with Coral Creatures, see what card we actually pick up. Going to be adding Slotbot. Ooh, Parlay.
Let's play.
Get our board full.
Night flowers upon my blade.
Should probably go ahead and heal our Slotbot. I think this will just count for 2 stats. I'm never quite certain on how this actually works. It's always set to a 4-2, so it's just not going to do anything. Oh, maybe it will. So weird.
The treasure was in me the whole time.
I won't stop now.
Okay. Interesting sequencing. He can pull this deck back if he wants, but... Alright, so he has the dragon single combat now. He can just ace our shipwreck order with it. But we have a pretty decent chance to do some stuff here, so let's at least try to put a bunch of damage on this Shyvana. So if he wants to take down one of our big boys with her, she's going to be pretty low on health. It's going to look something like this.
None escape Play again.
Okay, so I want to just start shaping. Oh, yeah, you're the weaker one. I think we just want to hit face and see what we can pick up. Scourge is a good pickup. We can't do anything with these other ones. So we can get back to being a full board. He might have a little trouble. We're able to answer this thing. Maybe we can get around the Shyvana if he has to single combat our the Scourge. Sure. Hmm?
Function call. Celebrate.
Curious though, the shipwreck order, where'd you go? He shuffles cards into the... Oh, just shuffle. I thought shuffle would have been a certain level. I didn't say I thought it was in the top 4 for some reason, so I thought we might be able to toss and then draw them. But that's not the case here. Did we really not add a unit last turn? I must have got click happy. We really wanted a full board here before we played anything. Oh man, we just can't even play those units now. That was horrible. Got a little click happy. Okay.
Come on, give it a try.
He has a good block here, but hopefully get a big chunk in. He needs another card to protect his Shyvana as well. If the Scourge survives, it's so good for us. Yep. Alright, at least kills the Shyvana. And I have left at this point. Not a whole lot outside of Zoe and a Jawl Hunters.
The treasure was in me the whole time.
Zeebel's number 2.
Spin, spin, spin. You win.
Not super exciting. 3, 4. Let's at least wait to post combat before we try to play a hired gun. I don't think we're going to be able to beat these though.
I deal in coins and carnage.
Alright, need something to get us out of this. Pocket Aces isn't really it. but our options are pretty low at this point.
So much to play for.
But I guess the bonus we have is that he technically has to block all of our units. Or if he gets real greedy on letting stuff through, we might be able to kill him with pocket aces. But I think this is probably our only way to be killing these Zeebles. Let's see if we can get that win we don't deserve.
No giving up. Stay the path.
Our time is over.
You sure you don't want to not block something? Sure, whatever.
Good game.
Okay, okay. Hopefully that'll give us the time we need.
As for
Need to need to draw something good real fast though. 7 cards.
Louise, to me.
I bring clarity.
No matter the gift, they are honored by your presence. I'll burn for what I've done.
Alrighty. There's our boy.
Laurent Zabon with plating.
Ooh. Oh man, maybe he'll play another card. Okay. So I think we just have to attack that one, right?
We'll see who feasts tonight.
Got him in the sweet spot again where he has to block everything. We gotta keep checking our deck to make sure we're not gonna die. Oh snap. Create 5 random cards in hand that cost 0. Okay. Give me that booty. War Mother's Call not so great here. Trundlequake might do something. In addition to a Death's Hand.
For the honor of my house.
What happens if we Trundlequake? This is this one. Everything gets -3 attack and takes 3. So we can kill this. He's going to have 2 units. We can no longer Death's Hand this, so he's just going to have 2 at the end of the day. It's going to wipe out 3 of our units, but then we can follow up with Pix and Vanguard Squire. So at the end of the day, we'll have 2, he'll have 2. Then we can follow up with a 3rd one. I think we have to do it. Well, -3, these will still get in for 4 damage. Okay. Oh no, this thing's gonna have Spell Shield. Shit. Well, we can Death's Hand this, and that'll be okay. I think that actually works out a little better.
My journey continues.
All right. Ooh, boys. I don't know how much we deserved that one, but we certainly got there in the end. Okay. So let's see. I mean, I still have it in my head that we can be a Zoe deck. This is a pretty good Zoe as well. Not super excited about the star chart, but the Priestess is pretty powerful here. Although the Twisted Fate does have Devourer of the Depths. And we... Yeah, how much do we want to consider ourselves to be sea monsters? We have 1 Beast, 1 Abyssal, 1 Hoarder. That would give us 1 Devourer. And then we also have the 1 Jaw Hunters, which I would prefer to have 2 or 3 of. My problem with building towards Zoe here is we don't. The big things that we're looking for are elusive, which we can get from the Abyssal Eye. Can we get deep? Is that a keyword? Just give all of our units deep. But yeah, you typically play things like star shaping and just get a big late game unit. I think we could probably still go down that path. I think we do want to be stacking these Zoes here, so it's kind of awkward. We're gonna have to go and like make trades to pick up some of these like pool sharks and things, but I don't think we need that Twisted Fate. And when we're against the Grand Plaza decks, you see Twisted Fate and be like, oh, this would be pretty good when he plays the Grand Plaza into the four cost thing that makes 2 units. That's what I was trying to get out. All right, reasonable stuff. A little on the expensive side, but we'll make the best of it. Have to just go ahead and block. We're not going to get any combos with this Mountain Goat. And if you're wanting to make the big brain plays, if you just don't have any units, then your then your opponent's Grand Plaza just doesn't matter. That's that thing back, okay? I don't think we're going to be real intent on using gems this game. This is fine. Cool. Alright, let's get into combat. I'm willing to trade the beast below for this at this point. He is apparently is not. That should mean we have a pretty good open here. Let's cheapen up these star charts while we're at it. And then if we get like a riposte or whatever expensive combat trick they have, sharp sight. Oh, amazing, a sharp sight into Zoe. Well, it kind of is what it is. Nothing we can do about that. Keep checking how far away from deep we are. This is okay. I think we need to save the Sunburst for something like a Garen. We can just block this dragon for a long time.
There's another one!
Do you want to spend some manas here, though? I wish you could highlight this and see. Has he even played a spell this game? He played a Sharp Sight? Was that his only spell? I'm willing to trade in for that. Lost Star Shaping, that kind of sucks. Alright. For the rest of the game, buffs are permanent. You got it. Should be tough for this deck to do anything like that. There's no buffs in Shadow Isles. I mean, if you're going to play things like combat tricks out of Demacia, then they stick, but not super worried about that. Let's go ahead and play Abyssal Eye. We'll still have mana backed up for Sharp Sight if we need it. I think this will be okay here.
Take a look at this.
3 away. I wonder if he'll ever just, like, not block the beast below because we're so close to going deep. We can only draw... We can technically draw 2. We can Abyssal Eye, draw Twisted Fate, drop it. That doesn't seem like enough here. But the attack with this thing is just not very good. He's just going to block with one of these 1/1s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, shit. Ugh. We gotta get some of these cards out of our hand. Play slot pile. 3, 4.
For king and country.
This dude's all about the sharp sights. Okay. You can prismatic barrier out of this, but that should be the only trick he could have. Okay. It's not spectacular, but not the end of the world. It's a 2 for 2 at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. 2 away from deep. So we might want to just blue card this Twisted Fate, but we don't have any more sea monsters.
Living dead, no matter.
Could technically silence the Soul Gorger, but I don't think it's a particularly scary unit. I'm kind of leaning towards just moon glowing our beast below. And then I plan on blue carding Twisted Fate. We can shut down enough of this attack with just the cards we have on the board.
Never lost a fair game, or played one. Blue as the Serpentine.
Hopefully he just doesn't have any answers to this Twisted Fate. You can just let him camp out on the board for a while.
They'll learn to fear me.
Okay.
The treasure was in me the whole time.
Ooh, what a timely Jaw Hunters.
Treasure's worth at least twice as much.
Oh, you're expensive. Man. Alright, we're just gonna have to spend all the time grinding these things out since we decided to blue card instead of red. I think this is okay.
You'll go no farther.
And I don't want to get like super spewy with the cards in our hand here because we still have another Zoe. Against a deck that, I mean, he did just play the Grand Plaza, so she's not going to be a super reliable unit, but I would, oh fuck, I forgot he's playing Aurelion Soul. Not used to seeing that when they're playing all of the champions out of the other faction.
3T told me about this one.
Admire me.
Alright, so can we pop that spell shield? I think we just want to make it rain anyways, just get this out of here. But we did hit his small unit.
Contain magic.
Alright, Grand Plaza Aurelion Souls.
Take me for a spin. Ha ha. What did we get?
Now they'll pay
Alright, well, we're gonna have real trouble winning this one. As good as our Sea Monsters late game is, it's not better than Aurelion Soul. So I think do like this. I mean, I guess we can star chart first. Not particularly interested in any of this.
Set the hooks.
Okay.
You must be very
Oh
important.
boy. Boy, what is this? Do you have 2 spells? He 100% knows we have a Sharp Sight in our hand. He has to have 2 spells, right? Is that his third Sharp Sight? He's certainly playing those. Okay. Plays. If he has another unit, we'll just concede this one. Okay. That is my problem with control decks in this game. It just like it doesn't matter if you're playing Tom Kench, if you're playing well, Leona does have the invokes, but Leona's of course worse than Aurelion Soul. But all of the control decks are just worse than Aurelion Soul. It doesn't matter like how many cards you pick up. It's just like you just need one Aurelion Soul, and you can just have the best late game that there is. At any rate, we're moving on. I think I kind of want to pick up another Star Shaping. The Jagged Butchers are pretty meh with what our deck is doing. We have these like specific one drops that we want. The Jagged Butcher doesn't really fit in. He's just kind of filler. I don't think we need additional pilfered goods. We have one. We haven't. It's kind of awkward. Like we haven't been having trouble with having enough cards to play, but we've just had a bunch of. We haven't been in situations where we can just like throw our units away. Nonetheless, I think we still want the Star Shaping. It feels like we're going to evolve into like, two paths. It's like, do we have a Zoe? If we have a Zoe, then we're going to go all in. And if we don't have a Zoe in our opening hand, then we're just going to try to make a Sea Monsters play. And if we're making Sea Monsters plays, then I want these Star Shapings to help stall out the game. It's a reasonable start. We can play Shell Shocker and then just kill it with the Croaker.
Flowers upon my blade. You cannot hold us down.
You got it.
A game. Go on then.
Alrighty. We get a Pale Cascade out of this Pool Shark. I'm more than okay with that. Oh, good deal. I think we just want to get these. Well, we probably shouldn't just give up on our free Spring Guardian. Sure. I assume he's going to start chaining. He's going to start with the 3 damage. The way we usually like to do this is the 3 damage, then the stun, then the 2-cost unit.
The stars.
Is he going to open? If he opens, we can hire Gun as Aphelios. Hopefully deal with him in the future.
I deal in coins and carnage.
We could do 2 things. We could either open on him and try to red card him, or we could play a unit behind and try to do it with the Spring Guardian. I think we just need to open and try to red card. May even have to try to gold card him. Picked up a Sunburst, but I think, when we already have this guy vulnerable, then we don't need to be spending Sunbursts. The thing that worries me is if we're not going to be able to get out of this sometimes with just Twisted Fate alone. Close is this to flipping. He can play 1 more card, then he'll get his phased weapon, which is probably stun, then be able to stun something. Or do we just want to Sunburst him? I just gotta get this out of here. Brutal.
I'll find you.
Okay. Wow, somebody's got the good expensive cards. Hey, what do we even do at this point? Can put a block here, take 7, and then hope for the best with our slot bots. I think it's gonna take 2 turns to even get them rolling, but what else are we gonna do? We can't match these stats.
Take me for a spin.
The slot bot is just not a good unit anymore. It's just our opponent's gonna be like, "What up? Here's a Hush." What are you supposed to do about that? Not quite interested in Jaw Hunters, but we are 1 turn away from deep. Okay. the question is, do I want to just like red card this Guardian? These are going to pick up 3 stats each next turn. We could also just salvage again to try to make big units. Just pass. See what he does. This is going to be for a Nightfall. He's never just cycling here.
As darkness falls, the moon rises.
All right, so what are the chances he picked up the 3 damage thing? Like super high? If he picked up the 3 damage thing, then our Jaw Hunter's play is just going to get shut down. But
Blood and guts, golden glory.
another interactive card at least. Wow.
See as I see.
Fell into him.
I mean, we have to do this, but this is never going to be successful. Yeah.
Carry our faith.
The treasure was in me the whole time.
All right, that might be our saving grace, picking up the star shaping. Okay.
From darkness, light.
Watch him have the frostbite. Oh boy, oh boy. Things look okay now. Just living in that world of negativity. We gotta positive it up here.
Keep trying.
Okay.
Play again.
Interesting line. That seems pretty fantastic for us. Go ahead and cancel his brittle steels if he has them next turn. Now we're deep, so we can get the sea monsters going. We're not gonna deck ourselves. All right. Maybe things are okay. Here comes my unit. There's no way he has a combat trick here, right? If he didn't have a combat trick in the previous turns, there's no way he has one here now.
We were peaceful once.
You have a lot of things we'd like to spend mana on next turn. Let's just play the Dustbringer and bank 3.
Unseen, unheard.
Okay. We can play around that. We can star shaping through if he has a big elusive play.
A chill in the air.
Deal me in.
As long as he doesn't get wider than us, we don't really care.
We will be free. We will resist.
Okay, so we're probably not going to hit any more Celestials, so we're just kind of stuck taking the Destroyer here. Lost cards we didn't want. Star shaping number 2 with an Invoke. Maybe I was wrong about the amount of Celestials that we'll be able to have. Okay, it seems like we've probably turned the corner in this one. Played 7/7 so that we can follow up with Priestess and a Spell Mana Bank. That one probably is just a cycle.
My journey
Okay.
begins here and ends at the top.
Alright, man, I was quite worried about this one. Seems like we're doing much better now. Why are you blocking with an elusive? That's suspect.
Calm mind
Then we can inspiration plus star shaping next turn if we should we need to. We're pretty good now.
I won't stop now.
Gonna. Oh. Okay.
I
Well,
know this
if
blue
that's gonna be the case, we'll just get this thing out of the way. I was gonna say I want to block this with our 7/5. It does have more health than a Devourer of the Depths, yes, but I didn't want to get him brittle steeled. Make all our units humongous. Oh, he's doing the same. We could just try to go wide here. He's only going to have 2 blockers. We'll get in with everything else.
I've got you.
Okay. Well, I thought we'd be able to get in with everything. He still probably has to block our 9s, right? But we got 10, 17. Okay, we have lethal. Jeez. So much stats.
Lady Luck is smiling.
So you think even if he has like star shapings, he's gonna have to block our big units down here. I thought.
Almost end.
Okay.
Be gone.
Did you get a frostbite? Okay. It's an interesting choice if we want to play the Destroyer or the Shipwreck. I think we want to play the Shipwreck order just to get these high quality cards into our deck. And then we can play the Destroyer on his turn. Of course, two lifesteal blockers. We don't get decked here. It's a serious problem. Say, how close are you to dying? He cycled so many cards this game. Okay, so these units are going to be ineffective. Twisted Fate won't level up until this guy's next turn, which we might actually just deck ourselves with Twisted Fate. It's kind of scary. We can live without this. We can just spend all the mana on this next turn if we want it. Get +3 attack onto him to 13. We're going to be a little bit short. So let's star shape.
Trust your instincts.
Okay. Maybe the Scourge will be enough.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Okay, we can beat that.
This way.
Looks like trouble.
Let this guy first. Then the little to big part. Then the Scourge. To take his Mind Splitter out of action. It's going to be the most health he can put in front of our other overwhelms.
You are nothing.
Let's not ruffle our feathers.
Let's not ruffle our feathers.
Fly away while you can.
Did we get there yet? Alright, I think we're okay. I think we're good. Unless he until he starts throwing down harsh winds.
Hesitation's a tell.
Alright, we did it. Whew. He's games have been b-hole clinching. It's taken us so long to get through some of this. Alright. So let's see. We have to keep like some amount of our cheaper units, but I think I'm okay with this, trading this to pick up another Fortune Croaker. This is just kind of, it's one of the reasons I'm sad to trade out these Jagged Butchers. You could see these turns that sucked when you just have a 1 health unit plus a Fortune Croaker, but we're supposed to have a bunch of Pull Sharks. But this is our activator, whether or not we're able to do things with Zoe or do things with sea monsters. The Fortune Croaker Pull Shark are the real backbone to what our strategy is. Oh, Taylor Swift 13. Love me some Taylor Swift. Alright, there's a Zoe.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
Give me the stuff! Stuff make happy!
Alright, I bet this guy's got a sea monster a little better than we can. Got that Nautilus stack over here. Okay, and then I don't think we ever care about plundering this butcher.
There's plenty of killing there.
Maybe we do now. The idea was just to get a good thing going with the slot bot next turn. Guess we just have to go back on the defensive. Agree with that shit, bro.
This is a real spin to win.
Alright, let's see if we can stall his board down now.
You.
Success gets noticed around here.
I was like, I thought it was gonna pop our Zoe.
There's another one!
Cards can we play now? We're getting pretty close to leveling her.
I don't change fate, but I can see
Is this up? Do we want to get a new star chart next turn? Or we just want to try to go wide? We probably just want to go wide. Oh, sick. There's a lot of chatter of the I think we just want to keep going.
Bloody? Get paid.
Using the Aphelios thing that puts a 2-drop into play and hitting fuck. Need a silence or a stun. Got the stun, but we can't play it.
Portal me something cool.
One card away from leveling Zoe. We can at least do it next turn with a salvage, assuming he can't hit her with a spell.
Don't stand in my way.
But no, there's a lot of chatter of the strength of using the 4 or the Aphelios card that puts a 2-drop into play to then hit the Fortune Croaker, the 3/4 challenger. Something that seems like it would be strong in Expedition and not so much Constructed, but it's enough. It's enough for the Twitterverse to be bitching about it, and so maybe it's a thing.
The ocean charts our course.
All right. Well, there's the Zoe flip. Now we just need to find some cards that don't suck with this. That's what this Lunari Priestess is going to do. No scout attack? Cool. Oh, come on, game. we really just take the Scourge? It's so far away. I don't feel like we're ever going to get to this stage of the game. I'm just taking Moonsilver.
Calm mind and open heart greet the
Good.
night.
You gotta just get something on board. The big set of losses. Ugh. Okay.
Where are you, spirit?
Maybe we'll get one in for a plunder or something. I don't even think we want to plunder now. I mean, our board's fine. We're just going to add Slotbot. He's pretty far away from deep. Don't care about losing Zoe at this stage. Her ability is permanent, and so we would be missing out on the what are they called? The things that she makes, the Behold the Infinites, or yeah, Behold the Infinites. But the big thing that we're interested in is her give abilities to everything ability. What a 5? It's a little on the scarier side of things. Curious if how this plays out, if this gives deep to all of our units. That's what we're going to find out here.
If I kill you, I don't fortune, stupid.
Just wait till next turn? Probably do.
Stow the rations! Shackle the prisoners!
So what do we get here? Like, the idea is that I don't think so. I changed my mind. I'm just going to try to sunburst this thing. So deep does not get spread. It's a keyword, right? I thought that was something that we could have done. When you summon an ally grant its keywords, is deep not a keyword? I think it's a keyword.
Where do you stand on cold shots?
Alright, well, if we can just not die here, then things will be okay. Our board is just so much better than his, but the scary thing here is we do die to a Abyssal Eye. Right, he's going to be... No, I guess he's one... No, he's going to draw 2. He'll be deep because of Bull Shark. Can deal with Nautilus, that's kind of whatever.
We playing bilge rules, son?
He'll be deep next turn.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat.
A winner is you!
The water rises.
Okay. It's not particularly scary. We can gold card him if we need to. Yeah, there's the particularly scary one. You drew it. Alright, let's see. Okay. This trial has been a collection of frustrations. Jeez. It's alright, don't want Star Chart. I think we're good to get rid of Make It Rain for Pilfered Goods. There's never any good targets for Make It Rain. It was like such a high quality card. Like, it doesn't even matter that it used to cost 2 and now it costs 3. It's in Expedition. There are just like no good targets. I guess there's kind of like an ebb and flow to it with like the Riven cards being so good, but it's just like this is a matchup where it would probably be good, but there's just so many matchups where it's 100% terrible. Reasonable start. Plunder Master Zoe here, ready to go with the Pilfered Goods. this is still reasonable for us. I'm not like super stoked about killing off these reforges, but he's not playing what's her name? He's not playing Riven, so it's not like we have to worry about the sword coming down on the 4th turn. And we're protected from a River Shaper, whatever the 3-cost one's called here. Not the worst start.
Join the hunters, they say.
See, Make It Rain would be good here as soon as we traded it away. But this is going A-okay.
Okay, ready.
All right.
Make it worth my while.
Interesting. Why would he want to protect this one?
That path lead.
Quite understand that play. This is fine.
Let's play.
Like if he played Draven, then we'd want to play the Hunters, but sure.
Spin, spin, spin. You win.
Standard.
These springs are for healing, not swimming.
Should be good against just about everything in his deck.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
Yep. So I mean,
The stars.
he's had pretty good answers for everything we've done this game, but we're 2, 4, like whatever you want to call these, like 4.5 cards up on him. So I think we're in a pretty good spot, even though it's been a bit of a frustrating course of actions. Poor Zoe.
Oh, would you look at these ads?
So, I mean, we don't have any particularly exciting blockers here, but I mean, we're never protecting this mountain goat. The best we'll expect out of these things through the entirety of the trial is just getting a trade and a gem.
Why are you here?
Absolutely. So that would be his 3rd fragment, so that'll give him a ribbon sword, but his units are also bad at this point. Okay, that's a very good open. We need to get this pilfered goods going. There we go. Just don't lose. Right? This is the Supreme League. Just don't lose and you'll win. We have so many cards up on this guy.
3 are unrivaled.
We're gonna have to play Jal Hunters though.
Vessel's small, but she ain't lacking courage.
Okay. He's got the Overwhelm fragment, which is kind of awkward with this. We're gonna take 6, but he's not playing Darius, so it's not a huge problem. And I don't want to play our good units because he can just hook kill it. This.
How exciting!
You can take 3 from Draven, it's not a big deal. But at the end of the day, I'd like to get both. Ooh,
Exquisite
why would you put it on? Oh, he's gonna play big sword. Oh, it gives a quick attack though. Okay. 12 overwhelm. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. It's kind of scary. So I gotta see if we can pick something up. We did not. So it's gonna be down to just using this weapon. Well, it can't weapon hold in combat either. These both have quick attack. 12, we're just gonna take 9.
Now I've lost my place. Nothing but a footnote.
Okay.
Better than he.
If we play the arena bookie, what's that going to draw? Fortune Croaker or Coral Creatures? That's not a big deal. Right, we're going to trade out a 1 for one of these 2s. A lot we can do. Might need to draw Fortune Croaker just to draw something that doesn't suck.
My money, my rules.
Okay.
Calm mind and open
Yeah, it feels a little better. This is still a pretty horrible spot to be in, but we can answer the actual problem here. So go ahead and get this thing out of here. We're gonna just run into a myriad of problems here if he starts playing like Armored Elephant and the like, but okay, so I mean we're not dead. Can't get this gem down. If we could get this gem down, that would be fantastic, but he's gonna open and we're gonna get a block here. He has to open, right? It just seems like we can't stop the shield breaker.
Come on!
Can't stop that. Just have no actual answers to what we can do here. I guess we can try and draw health potions. It's not it. Alright, we're dead.
Out of my way! Come here!
Damn. That was, it's been like one of the most frustrating trials in a while, but I think the idea here was good. We just like ran into the low roll of the century as far as this trial was going. But it also if you like cut the tier list video, a lot of the problems we have with these kind of like slower control strategies anymore, or they just get there's just nothing better than Aurelion Soul with the late game. There's really, I guess, if you just want to say like the best control strategy in the game right now is just Invoke, right? It's pretty easy to pull off. You can never outvalue an Invoke deck. But then, even if you're not playing like a dedicated Invoke deck, you can have a deck that either just has like 2 Aurelion Souls or 2 Aphelioses in it. And then there's just like absolutely nothing that can touch it as far as late game goes. Like you can't outvalue an Aphelios with Invoke. You can't outvalue Aurelion Soul with anything. And I mean, that's, reasonably what you should expect out of a 10-cost champion, not so much out of a 4-cost champion, but that's why we start to see things like, Lux really push down the tier list. We see, like Aurelion Soul still sits there because he's, kind of the best control strategy, but, all of the other Invoke strategies fall just like so much lower. And then things like Heimerdinger and, kind of the classical control strategies we would have seen out of like Foundations and the Rising Tides, like just any of your like classic 1-for-1 removal decks, like something that you would do with a Deathstore Thresh. It's just completely unplayable. It's just 100% bar none completely unplayable to try to base, one of these ancient, I'm going to trade you, 1-for-1 on removals. I'm going to try to pick up a bit of card advantage with like sacrifice a unit, draw 2 cards, and then I'm just going to grind you out. 100% can't be done anymore. And so that's, to a degree what we ran into with this trial. It's like, we're playing this kind of like slower control deck strategy with the sea monsters, and then you run into Aurelion Soul, and it's like, okay, well, we did all this work to to be able to control the late game, and then you just play 1 card that outvalues everything we did the whole game. Like it's a real struggle to see that happen. Same thing happened with Aphelios. We had the Sunburst, we had the tools to finally answer his Aphelios, but if he's able to come down and just sit there on the board and play 6 mana of Moon Weapons every turn, it's just too much to overcome. Like 3 damage and to turn a unit off with stuns and to put a 2-drop into play, or you can actually pick up the utility across the line with the other swords if you need to. Just brutal. And so I mean it's a struggle. And so I think this deck was okay. It's just like my real problem with sea monsters these days is if you want to be in a sea monsters deck, you almost have to be in like the Nautilus deck, and you have to be playing the Dreg Dredgers and Salvages and such so that you can churn through your deck super quick. Right? That's what we're trying to do with Pole Shark Fortune Croaker. But if that's going to be your late game strategy, that's what you really have to do is be, on like hitting deep on like turn 5 or turn 6, and then you have to just kind of think of yourself as more of like a mid-rangey style deck. I think it's just brutal. Like you can't like play a slow game because it's so bad. There's just so many decks that do it so much better than this. So it's a little unfortunate. I still kind of stand by the strategy we chose here. I do think this was a good choice between Zoe and Twisted Fate. I still think this is a pretty strong combo, but I think the problem that we ran into here was all that we really want out of the Twisted Fate side of the deck are cards that say Plunder. So Jagged Butcher, Pilfered Goods down here, and then a Black Market Merchant if you come across them. And then you just want Pole Shark, to a lesser degree Shell Shocker, and Fortune Croaker. So outside of that, if it doesn't say Plunder, if it's not Fortune Croaker, one of these cards that draws cards on the cheap, then you just don't really want it. I think we got too deep into Bilgewater and too far away from the Zoe cards for this deck to be really good. And so I think it was a good learning experience. I think these do play together pretty well. I know we've had a lot of success before with these kind of Zoe Plunder decks, but I think we kind of as we say for a lot of the strategy, you don't want to half-ass two things. You want to whole-ass one thing, and I don't think we were whole-assing enough here. I think we had, kind of half of a Zoe deck and then half of a Sea Monsters deck. There is some overlap between the cards that are good between the two, but we didn't have enough of that overlap, right? We have one Pole Shark, we have one or two Fortune Croakers, and so we'd really want this to be like 3 or 4 Pole Sharks, 3 or 4 Fortune Croakers, and then every game you're either starting out with Zoe or you're starting out with Pole Shark into Fortune Croaker, so that you can hit those deeps pretty fast. And so, yeah, I think the idea was good. The execution didn't quite come together here, and then we just ran into a frustrating set of games as well. And so I do believe this was quite a bit onto the low roll side of the spectrum. And so a little bit unfortunate in that sense. This feels like it was probably about like a 4 or 5 winner and not a 2 winner, but nonetheless, it got me a little salty, and it's got me a little sad about the state of this trial. But nonetheless, we had a good time, a good learning experience here. So yeah, I guess if we're going to complete the recap, Sea Monsters, you got to be with Nautilus if you want to do Sea Monsters, or at least not actually physically playing the Sea Monsters. I would really love it if this was just like a Zoe deck that had 3 Jaw Hunters in it, and then we just didn't have Abyssal Eyes, Salvages, Shipwreck Hoarders. We just didn't have the expensive half of the Sea Monsters, and just we really want this to be Zoe and the card draw. The Jaw Hunters would have been fine, and then just cheap dudes. And so we were kind of far away from that. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. I don't know if we have rewards to click on. It looks like there's at least one. Let's see. Wild Claws, I'm interested in trying. Man, look at this. We got all the new cards out of here. I would have loved to have had the Fangs. I think the Fangs would have been fantastic in our deck. Wild Claws, I'm wanting to give a try. It's one of those cards that Noxus doesn't really have a lot of that ability, and so it's a nice little pickup for them. And then just another way to just close out games with Savage Reckoner as well. So, okay, Plasmatic Reward. All the epics, cool. We're just never taking the Vault of Helia. I hate this card. And then the Hearthguard is who I think we're likely to want to take. We pass on Ladros frequently, but we rarely pass on the Hearthguard if they show up, and so I think that'll be a nice little addition. Is this more cards? No, just more essence. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week. I hope you all learned how to Sea Monster with Zoe a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.